Rawls says we should think of society as a cooperative venture for mutual advantage. Now, it's an ideal, that's great. But our actual society is a cooperative venture for mutual advantage? Okay, so here's Rawls as filtered through Chris Rock, as done by a somewhat inferior Charles Mills. So never mind the inferior performance of Charles Mills, just channel Chris Rock and project him onto this person here. So this is the founding of the United States according to John Rawls, because remember, the United States, well, all societies for Rawls, cooperative venture for, did I get that right, for mutual advantage. Okay, so once upon a time, there was a big land, founding of the United States, remember. And on this land, there were three peoples. There were the red peoples, the white peoples, and the black peoples. The red people said, "Oh, white people, we're so glad to have you here." There we were, chasing the buffalo across the Great Plains. Got pretty boring after a while, you know. Been there, done that, you know. How many buffalo can you chase, you know? You've seen one buffalo, pretty well seen them all. Now that you're here, we're sure things are going to be different. As a measure of our gratitude that you're here, we're going to give you 98% of this land, you know, because we're not really using it. All this land, all this buffalo, we're going to give you 98% of it. So you might think, well, won't it be a bit crowded for the Western 2%? No, no, no. We will voluntarily undergo a 98% demographic collapse. So that means there's 2% left, so it'll fit well, 2% on 2%. White people said, "Thank you." Then the black people spoke up. The black people said, "Oh, white people, we're so glad you brought us here from Africa. As you know, it's a dark continent. Even when you try to turn on the lights, you can't see anything. Constantly being eaten by, you know, lions, and, you know, let's face it, we don't like to admit it, but each other as well, you know, lots of cannibalism on the dark continent. You grab what you think is a chicken leg, it's actually your cousin, but, you know, you just eat it anyway. Lots of bad stuff happening there. The voyage over, maybe a bit rough. We didn't realize we were going to be below the decks. We thought it was going to be first class. But anyway, not everybody made it, but, you know, we're glad to be here. As a sign of our gratitude, you know what we're going to do? You have all this land. We're going to work this land for you for free. You don't have to pay us anything. The white people said, "Thank you." What are you waiting for? Lift that barge, tote that bale. And that is the history of the United States, according to John Rawls, as passed through Chris Rock, as channeled by an inferior Charles Mills. A cooperative venture for mutual advantage. Thank you. I'm particularly fond of that routine, if I say so myself. Now, you might think it's absurd, and you'd be right. But it's an absurdity that white political philosophers have accepted and moved happily on. You know, it's hardly the case that anybody will point out, isn't there something crazy about this assumption?